Hello, everybody, and welcome to Raising Vibrations. And you're with Simon today. And we're going to be doing the chart of the day. And this is for the 23rd of November 2016. So, the first thing that I want to do is just welcome you to a new format of how I would like to be doing all my YouTube videos. I really hope that you like it. I'm still editing the process a little bit, but this is what I intend to do. And I'm really excited about it as well, in a kind of way where I would like to use the astrology and the archetypes and the current energies as more than just astrology, but to actually show and what the astrology is talking about at the moment. Okay, and with that kind of expression, this is a good opportunity to really jump into the chart. So, in the most recent 2 to like maybe 5 or 6 days, we've had the repercussions, or not the repercussions, but the experience of the full moon. Okay, and the full moon has been in Taurus, and a lot of the energy, a lot of the experiences, a lot of what was coming through that full moon in Taurus was mainly to do with Neptune's conjunction on its own south node, or on the south node of the moon, Mars transiting Aquarius, and Pluto, Jupiter, and Uranus all in this incredibly powerful T-square that's taking place at the moment. Okay. And it had, like I said, it had a lot to do with breaking down structural identities. I mean, when I say breaking down structural identities, I'm not actually talking about just this very simplified expression of, oh, that's a belief system that's changing. This is like a huge experience. This is like massive. This is on like a deep unconscious level that every single person is going through this purification process, where the structure and the format and the baseline for your entire existence, value systems, ways in which you identify yourself, all of that is like, being brought to the surface with these current energies at this stage. And we're invited to respond to this experience with surrender and this this need for openness to explore the new. Okay. So when I did the new moon video, and I also spoke and I also wrote about this in the new moon article, I explained that the sun's transit through Scorpio had a lot to do with the process of metamorphosis, the process of 8, or maybe even a little bit less, like 6 months worth of deep cocooned experiences, right? Of like Jupiter's transit through Virgo, of really purifying and getting rid of, and you know, ultimately just allowing your inner sense of identity to collapse. Okay. And as the sun moved into Scorpio, and as the process of Jupiter moving out of Virgo and into Libra, we had this metamorphosis take place, where the cocoon was beginning to crack. We were beginning to have this opportunity to open ourselves to new directions, to new experiences, and to feel free. Okay. But the paradox to the situation was that the rebirth process was not some magical fairy tale experience in which there was this immediate desire to, okay, we're free, we're flying, we're going in a new direction. It wasn't about that at all. It was actually about the realization that we have reached a state within ourselves where our own sovereignty, our own space of wanting to expand ourselves, our own ability to feel that enough of what we're experiencing is not enough, that we want to grow, we want to make changes, we want to improve our lives, like all of this type of stuff coming through to the surface. And that being the metamorphosis, that being the ability to want to open up and explore yourself in a completely new way. The point is that as this opening and spreading of your wings began to kind of unveil for yourself, you realized that with every single new flight that takes place for a baby bird, for instance, or a butterfly in this particular instance, that initial stage is very scary. It's extremely unnerving to feel like your opportunity to emerge out of your own cocoon is it's met with uncertainty. It's met with caution. It's met with the experience has not been developed yet within your psyche, within your biological structure. So of course, the energies at this point in time are leading us to a place where it's like there's this openness, this wanting to move forward, this allowing us to really expand, and yet at the same time there's this deep abyss of like, oh my God, I've got to trust. And that's what I was referring to, was for me personally, I'm always consistently looking at new ways to try and like reflect myself. And it keeps on changing and metamorphosizing as I go. But this was an opportunity to say to everybody that's watching, this is my way of honoring the energy within myself, like anchoring it into the body and actually acting out the energy's vibrations, which is trying new stuff out, like representing yourself in a new way, giving yourself a new opportunity to act in a different way that you've done in the past. Give yourself new opportunities to experience yourself in different dimensions, as I said, and to explore yourself in that way. Now, that has a lot to do with this T-square that's taking place with Pluto, Uranus, and Jupiter that's currently in the sky right now. And today we've got Jupiter at 15 degrees and Pluto at 15 degrees. That's the exact square at the moment. Now, evolutionary astrology talks about the squares between Capricorn and Libra as there's quite a lot to it, but the baseline here is expectations. It is the responsibility to the other. It's what we deem as fairness, how we judge ourselves in accordance with our moral obligations and our structures that represent the scales, the balance, and a lot to do with just the expectations, the social expectations that we place on ourselves relative to the barriers and boundaries in which we put in place, but also the kind of way that we represent ourselves in an existential, like in an external way. You know, how do we present our personality to the world? That part of that square is the tension that we have when our social needs and our own relationship to ourself is engaging in the social laws, right? Okay, so here's this governmental structure that exists. Here's the people's desires and needs and wants. And how does this tension aspect evolve us to find common ground between the two? Okay, we all know what we're talking about over here. So that's really interesting. And there's a deep fascination to me around the politics that is not only taking place on the media stage, so the States, America, you guys that are very much in this process right now. I mean, you definitely are representing the square to me in the most vivid way, only because, of course, there's a lot of television coverage on this experience. But what's fascinating to me is how the structural form in which we emotionally connect with the world is being shaped in such a way that the uncertainty of how we're going to govern ourselves going forward, or the uncertainty of what establishment or how we develop our sovereignty, like a lot of this is really in our faces right now. And this question, whether we choose to accept it or not, is still present, right? It's not going away. The nature of our inner space, the way that the value systems that we hold, the ideas, the ideals, everything, all of that is in our face right now, and we can't deny it. So we have to confront it. And that's causing a lot of upheaval at the moment. Now, Saturn is again transiting through Sagittarius. It's been there for quite some time. This is in the structure of natural law, and we're looking at and facing the reality within ourselves and outwardly, what is the core philosophy? What do we value? What is the core philosophy that each of us has within ourselves? What side or belief system do we emotionally connect to that validates ourselves? Why do we need a group to validate ourselves? These are the types of questions that this Saturn through Sagittarius can promote for us. There are many different variations and manifestations of the Saturn transit, but in the context of the current chart at this point in time, as well as the ongoing evolutionary necessity of Pluto's transit through Capricorn, the structure of what we give power to, okay, that structure, that what we give to power to, the underlying reality is our belief system. You know, how do we validate that belief system? Why do we believe in that? Those are the fundamental core dynamics that are coming to the forefront of ourselves, and we're being forced to become aware of it through self-reflection. And that's where I want to pay a lot of attention to going forward. We have Neptune's most recent transit into direct motion. And from a symbolic perspective, and I am currently writing an article that will then also be attached to a video on the nature of Neptune's direct motion and my thoughts on this process. With Neptune going direct, you have probably felt over the last couple of days a deep inner surge of awareness, of inspiration, of a sense of just overwhelming emotions. Okay, if you really are connected to its energy at this point in time, you would be feeling this sense of just the tons and tons of emotions that are just consistently flowing through you at this point in time. It's almost as if we've been hit by this massive tidal wave, and we're kind of just having all of this awareness and emotional debris just flow through us like that, and we're sitting there facing it. So we've got this dynamic that's taking place with this Neptune, and what we've got to try and figure out on an emotional level is, how do we as a human race reflect upon the current energies that are drawing up, pushing out, however you wish to describe it, awareness of ourselves, okay? Because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the deepest thing is the awareness of ourselves, the awareness, the self-awareness that we have of our existence. All of these experiences that evolve through us, evolution's going to come through us whether we choose to want it or not. It's not something that we really get to control from an ego perspective. But what we do get to do is pay attention to the nature of it as it reveals to us what we are and who we are. And that's where we can really get a deep access of these planetary symbols at this point in time. With Neptune being there and really demanding the sense of being real with us right now, and asking for us to get in touch in a deep way. What is the meaning of our lives? What is the meaning of it? Right? Why do we do the things that we do? What gives you the experience of your existence? What is your meaning? And that's again rooted in this core fundamental Saturn Sagittarius thing, the belief systems. Look at your belief systems. Look at the way that you validate yourself in the experiences. Why do you look at those things? And just gather through, I would say, mindfulness in that way, the nature of your own psychology and its attachments to this world and how it is currently overflowing at this stage. Then we've got Pluto, we've got Venus in a balsamic phase to Pluto. Now, this is where you bury down the hatchet. Okay, Pluto's coming up here. Pluto will always bring the darkest elements of our psyche through to the surface in order for it to be transformed. As Venus hits that conjunction, or that conjunction, which it's at 13 degrees at this stage, and Pluto's at 15. As that conjunction starts to take place in a more intense way, and it's balsamic, we're going to find a lot of emotional value systems, or should I say a lot of emotions attached to values and ways of, I would just say our value system. So what are our needs? Why do we validate ourselves the way that we do? How have we seen things in the past, and how are those needs changing? Okay. So we're having a lot of this like cataclysm take place in the world. We've got an earthquake that was taking place, or a tsunami alert that was taking place in Japan. Not that Venus was close to Pluto at this point in time, but New Zealand also had a fairly large earthquake that had been taking place. We've got the intense political situation plus Standing Rock that's taking place in the States. A lot of this intense tension of emotions and stuff is just boiling to the surface with Pluto and Venus stuff. And at some point when when Venus hits that conjunction and hits a new phase, it's gonna explode. And so when this explosion takes place, I'm intrigued to see what is going to take place for us going forward. How are we going to transform ourselves through that conjunction? So I will be doing a chart a day, of course, when that goes into a new phase conjunction, and reflecting upon the nature of this energies at this stage. So my suggestion to everybody right now in regards to the current energy alignments is to kind of stay a little bit passive and observant of your reality, to not to watch yourself getting drawn into experiences that will entice or promote projection, where your own unconscious is coming through to the surface, and you're expressing it, you're behaving in a certain way, but you're also watching it. Like, that's what I was going to say. Watch your thoughts, watch your emotional reality, watch how you feel towards things and such, and really get in touch with that on a deeper level. Okay. All right, guys. So this is a live stream experience. So I will just stay on the line for about a minute. Just check the chat box if anybody's there and they've got any questions that they wanted to talk about. So I'm looking at the chat right now, and we've just got a couple of people just saying thank you for joining. Hello to B Lyria. Yeah, I think with Mama's Sprout, if I get that correctly, and you're talking about the crystallization, this is a big time for us to really work through our emotions and really get in touch with the feelings that are arising through us at this stage. It can be immensely scary at this point in time to feel like you have everything under control. Of course, that's not the case, really. There is Neptune just pushing through a lot of emotions to come to the surface. And again, like I said, try to let go of a lot of the ideas of how much control you have, and just kind of allow yourself to be paying attention to what is important for you and what's right for you in your body, in your moment, and watch your own expansion take place, and share the knowledge. Keep yourself in alignment with, let's have a look. Keep yourself in alignment with what's right for you. Okay, that's the key. What is happening immediately for you in your environment? What are your life story being revealing to you at this stage? Okay. So, and it's got a lot to do with sovereignty. Really, it is. It's got a lot to do with getting in touch with your sovereignty through realizing the nature of your own emotional experience, and what is your subconscious really about. So I'm going to talk to one. You've got David Sprayberry. Okay, what does Pluto conjunct the North Node mean? Jeff was kind of vague about this. Okay, that will be my last question for today, guys. But so the best way for me to explain Pluto conjunct the North Node, if you have this in your natal chart, is every one of us. Okay, this is how it works. Pluto represents the unconscious emotional attachments that you have, or we have, to our reality. So it's these emotional investments on a very deep psychic level, psychological level, that we put our like roots into. Okay, we invest a lot of energy into, where there's a lot of security in our lives. And what happens with Pluto is that as you get born into your life, it basically challenges the nature of stagnation. So wherever you are allowing yourself to not evolve through deep feelings of, like disempowerment, like stagnation, that would be the best word. Pluto will come through in this lifetime, and it will basically confront those limitations, and you will have experiences in your life that will force you to invest your emotional energy into things that allow you to experience more and therefore evolve. So when you look at the south node of the moon in the astrology chart of the north node, you're looking at the emotional identity that the soul would use. So it's like a very simple perspective, okay? Instead of looking at everything around you, the soul uses a very linear perspective. It's like, this is how you're going to look at your life to understand what your soul is trying to do. And it kind of creates a beautiful, like binoculars that focuses like that. So when you have Pluto on that nodal axis, the intention here is not only for you to observe the nature of your own soul's emotional empowerment in this lifetime, but to also be able to make decisions and understandings that it's not about having a polarity point. So if, let's say, for instance, my Pluto's in the 10th house, my polarity point is the 4th, right? The polarity point is talking about balance, right? So we're dealing with the nature of balance. 10th house, 4th house, emotional, like going out into the world, balance comes through understanding emotional connection and inwardly, okay? Right. So that's a polarity point, and then the nodal axis will be in a different kind of sign. So for me, my polarity point's in the 4th house, my node is in the 5th house, emotional expression. Okay, that's why my work is this way. Now, when you look at somebody that's got the north node and Pluto together, you're dealing with a very concentrated focus of energy in this lifetime. The irony or paradox of the situation is that somebody that has the north node conjunct Pluto doesn't recognize that they are doing empowerment stuff, because the intention is to just consistently keep going along the same path. So for you, you come into this lifetime and your path relative to the past has been focusing on one thing. This lifetime, you're just back in the same path going, okay, I'm just continuing with the path. So your perception is not identifying that there is diversity. It's just going, I'm just walking on the same path. Whereas for other people that have got Pluto in different places and nodes in different places, their perspective will be, okay, so in this lifetime, I'm doing this. In this lifetime, I'm looking at that. So it's like two different paths, and you can be able to identify them. Whereas with Pluto conjunct the North Node, you don't know that. You don't identify yourself as somebody that has that different perspective. And it's really, really interesting to watch, because all the clients that I've had in the past that have got Pluto conjunct the North Node, or are consistently saying, okay, now I've got to do more. Now I've got to do more. Now I've got to empower myself more. And I'm like, and then they're like, but will I ever be empowered? And I'm like, but that's the point. The point is that you're doing your polarity point. You're doing your North Node. You're consistently empowering yourself. And as you consistently keep doing it, you just reinforce more empowering experiences, which overall develops a stronger, focused, and concentrated sense of awareness of soul development. Okay? So I hope that gives you a lot better description there, David. And so, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks very much for allowing me to share some space with you today. I really hope that you like this. And I will be speaking to you in the not so distant future. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.